Welcome to the Your Next Move podcast. Y'all, today we are doing something a little bit different. If you don't know, I have a bi-weekly column on New York Magazine's The Cut where I answer reader questions about anything that is happening in your career. However, it's an article, so I only have about 750 words, give or take, to answer. But on a podcast, I can do a lot more. So I'd like to bring a few of the questions that I've answered on The Cut over to the podcast so I can have a little bit deeper of a conversation, because I know while this may be a question from one person, I know that it's something that can be applicable to many. I'm going to start by talking about this reader question that was all about when you start a new job and it isn't quite what you expected. I've been there myself, and I really was excited about this opportunity to dig a little bit deeper. Here's what the letter said. Dear Kimberly, I've been working in my current position for 8 months and I'm unhappy. My expectations for this position were very high because at my previous job, the scope of work was very different. Therefore, when I began my current job, I was expecting it to be a continuation of that work. My dilemma now is that I'm on the job hunt again, looking for a position that is aligned with the skills that I acquired at my current job as well as my last job. In addition, I'm looking to relocate to be with my boyfriend, so I'm currently searching for an out-of-state position. How do I either A, drastically change the conditions of my current job, or B, find a new job in a new state and avoid getting sold a false bill of goods again? Thanks again for taking my question and for your help. So if you are currently in a job that you thought was supposed to be the dream job and you're unhappy, my heart goes out to you. There is such an expectation about a fresh start, new beginning, new boss, new team, all of the things when you walk into your first day at a new job. And when it is not what you expected or were looking forward to, it can be really hard. Even when you do as much research as possible, sometimes you could still get surprised by the job that was sold to you versus what you're doing every single day. I personally had this experience for a job that I got in 2016. It was a career-changing job for me. The interview process was rigorous, and by the time I got to the final round of interviews, I think I was probably at maybe interview 6, where I did presentations for the team, met with different stakeholders. When I got that job, I was so relieved, so excited. I started that job in February, but by the time we got to May, June, I realized the job wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And I was devastated. I didn't have the resources I was looking for. I didn't have the team that I was expecting. It was a new job for that department, so there was a little bit of confusion about what I was supposed to do. I remember sitting down with my boss and saying, you know what? While I love this company, I love the work that I'm doing, I really don't feel like it's an alignment. Like, I really preferred what I was doing before. It was a really tough conversation, but for me, it ended up working out really, really well because I had a conversation with my leader and the director of the department, and we were able to get things back on track again. So for starters, if you're in a similar situation, I recommend reaching out to your boss to talk about your experience with the company. For all you know, they could be thinking that things are going amazing, and they'd be shocked to hear that that isn't your experience. You cannot fix a problem if you don't name it, and they might be willing to make the changes that you need. This isn't a chance to play the blame game either, because I think it's very easy to say, hey, listen here, this isn't the job you told me it was going to be, and you need to fix it and make it what you sold me. We don't want to do that. We really just want to break down your expectations of the role versus the reality of what's happening. And the goal is always to come up with a solution. I recommend asking yourself a few key questions before walking into that meeting. So 1, do you need more resources? If so, what are those resources? Is it a certain amount of hires? Is it a budget? Is it a raise? Do you want to work on different projects? And if so, be specific. Was there a recent project that you wanted to work on, but you weren't able to? Next, do you want a different schedule? If you're going to move to a new state, are you able to work remotely? Is that something you want to consider? And last but not least, is there an existing role at the company that you'd like to move into that is more similar to your last job? If not, what would that role look like? Figure out what you want and what you will not compromise on beforehand. You want to walk into this conversation with a plan. Schedule dedicated time to speak with your manager. I don't recommend doing this during a traditional one-on-one conversation. You want to have what I like to call a career conversation. So even if it is during your one-on-one, ask for a few minutes at the end to have this conversation. Start by saying that you'd like to chat about your experience so far and review how the work was described to you versus what you've been doing. Keep in mind the questions you asked above and ask if your employer will be able to partner with you in order to come up with a solution that aligns with both your interests. Note that I use the word partner there. Many times when we're having difficult scenarios, different situations, different conversations in the workplace, using the word partner is really helpful because you're not playing the blame game saying, you messed up. I don't like this. You need to fix it. You're saying, this is what is happening. How can we partner together to make this a better situation for everyone? Now, on the other side, if you've done your due diligence and believe that things can't be fixed in your current role, the search for a new job is about to begin then. But this time around, we want to ensure that you're really getting what you want. In my book, I've walked readers through a basic skills assessment to uncover all of the skills and experiences they've gained from past jobs. Remember, the good thing is that you have varied experiences. It only adds to your career toolkit. I say that in your career, each and every job that you have, you are adding tools to your toolkit. When you first get your first ever apartment, you may have walked in there and only had an Allen key from IKEA and maybe a hammer to put some pictures on the wall. As you get older, as you get more furniture, as you move into bigger apartments, as you buy a home, you add screwdrivers, you add power drills, you add putty, you add all these things to your toolkit so that finally, if you have any problem in your home or in your apartment, you can fix it. Your career is the same exact way. Each job that you've had, whether you loved it or you hated it, you are adding something to your toolkit that is of value. But with this assessment, what I want you to do is understand everything that you've done and all the skills. So on a piece of paper, write down all the job titles that you've had on the left side. And on the right side, all of the skills that you've acquired while being there. So for an example, when I worked as a marketing assistant at a office supply company right out of college, I did a lot of data entry. I did a cost analysis. And if I was looking at my skills, I want you to then cross out any skills that you never want to use again. Yes, the ones that you never want to use, because I think it's just as important to know what you don't want to do versus what you want to do. And then circle all of the ones that you like to use. When reviewing job listings, I want you to really focus on the ones that you circled. What are the activities you want to be doing every single day? And as you're interviewing, ask questions about the amount of time you will spend doing the things that you love. I'm a big believer in strengthening your strengths and aligning your career with your passions and with your interests. Imagine how you'd feel if every single day you were in the world of work doing things that you were interested in, things that you loved. I will say it's unrealistic that we'll love everything about our jobs. In any career as an entrepreneur, there's things that we love and things that we don't. But if we focus on the things that you're circling, it really ensures that you have a little bit more alignment. And remember, when embarking upon a job search, it's a multifaceted process. It takes the average person about 6 months to find a new job, but it doesn't sound like you want to wait that long either. So we want to make sure that you're doing all the things. Speak to your current manager, update your resume and cover letters with a note about you relocating if you can, and really start building relationships for the job that you'd like. Do everything at the same time to make sure you have the most amount of options for you. So with that, if this is something you'd like to write me more of a long form question, I invite you to send me an email to yournextmove@nymag.com. And we'll put the link in the show notes so you can see the email address there. But we answer questions bi-weekly on The Cut. And who knows, you may see it in a future podcast where I'll get to speak to it just a little bit more. So with that, may your next move be your very best move.